Welcome to episode 3 of the No One Asked Us podcast. If you're liking what you heard in the first 2 episodes, if you've listened to or watched the first 2 episodes, you can follow me below. My Twitter's below his Twitter handle, below his. Also follow the show. We have our own Twitter account now. No One Asked Us. No One Asked Us Pod at No One Asked Us Pod on Twitter, on YouTube, and all the everywhere that you get your podcast. Logan, how you feeling this week?
I'm doing great, Craig. I'm just doing fantastic. I'm riding a high for a variety of reasons, and a lot of which I feel like we're going to talk about here in the next hour or so. So I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. That's what this podcast is for us to talk about what happened this week. And about this time last week, we record on Sunday nights. We were both expecting 0-2 weeks from the Illini.
Yeah.
That did not happen. So we're going to talk about that. We had 2 Illinois wins. Well, let's just recap the week first off. 2 Illinois wins. Tuesday night, they beat Michigan 76-53. No one really saw that one coming. That was number 2 Michigan against number 4 Illini in Ann Arbor. So they go 1-0 without Dosunmu on the court. Then they followed that up Saturday on the road at number 7 Ohio State, and they score the final 9 points of the game to win it 73-68. So that means Illinois is 20-6 on the year. 16-4 in the Big Ten. Remember that number, 16-4 in the Big Ten. We'll get to that later. So do we start with Michigan or do we start with Ohio State?
Let's just start with Michigan.
Okay.
Start with the throttling in Ann Arbor.
I mean, no one, I don't think anyone in America saw that coming.
No.
Illinois comes out. I don't exactly remember when they took control. Was it halfway through? I don't even remember what the score was at halftime, but Illinois comes out.
It was close at halftime.
Okay.
And then it was shortly after things started to, I think, teeter in Illinois' direction before the half, but it was still very much a good close ball game.
Yeah.
And then it was sometime after halftime that it just really turned.
Yeah.
I don't know. As you said, I didn't see that coming whatsoever.
Yeah. I had a work function, digital work function Tuesday night. So I was watching it, but I had to keep my eye on the event that I was running for work. So I wasn't all that connected. And that second half, I still wasn't connected because Illinois pulled away so early that that was one of the least interested I've been in a game so far this season. And it was the number 2 team in the country.
Yeah.
It was just everybody stepped up, everybody played their role, and the defense was phenomenal. Trent Frazier on their guards, Kofi stopping Hunter Dickinson down low. Even Georgie played really good defense on Dickinson down low. And I think that's where the game was won. They didn't let Michigan get into their offense, and they contained what they wanted the Wolverines to do. And Illinois comes out with a 26-point win against the number 2 team in the country. I haven't seen a better win in my lifetime. Regular season win. I said that after the game.
Agree.
Best regular season win, in my opinion, since 1989. A lot of people, including Logan, said the Wake Forest game. I think that's head and shoulders above the Wake Forest game, in my opinion.
I mean, I think they're similar. I understand what you're saying, especially at that point in the season where it was against who it was against. I understand the fact that it was also on the road. I mean, yes, there's obviously a lot of factors.
Conference aspect, conference game makes it for me. That's
every factor. Every factor imaginable. Yes, I do agree with you. I mean, it was hard to top Wake Forest, in my opinion. Just, what that meant for that season to start off the way it did, but back in 2004. But yeah, it was just absolute throttling. They controlled it from nearly the very beginning. I expected the post matchup to be a little more interesting than it was.
Yeah,
it's really not like Kofi dominated.
No.
But they just stepped up. Trent was huge. Trent needed to step up. I mean, that was the thing that, we've kind of talked about is, both on the show and off the show, but Trent's needed to step up without Io on the court. And he has, and he was tremendous in that game. Curbelo, ever since somebody sent out a tweet regarding Curbelo,
Let me find it.
As
Let me
I
find
told
it.
you.
I'll say it word for word for our listeners
Yeah.
and viewers that don't follow me on Twitter. But go ahead.
Craig made a comment on Twitter about Cabello, and I'm gonna guess he saw it. I don't think there's any chance he didn't, because he has been a totally different player ever since you made that, and that wasn't that long ago. That was like 2 weeks ago.
That was the Michigan State game. It was
Okay. So what did you say?
It was February 23rd at 6:22 p.m. Central Standard Time. It was the first half of the Michigan State game. I know for a fact. At this point, is Andre Curbelo bringing anything good to the Illini right now? Turnovers are up, missing shots, getting beat on defense. I understand he gives guys rest, but at what cost? February 23rd.
And
Michigan
it was funny.
State game.
It's funny that you said that, because right prior to that, I had been at home visiting my family, and my dad had made a similar comment to me about Curbelo. And I mean, I agreed with him at the time. I mean, yeah, you guys are right. And he just wasn't providing much. You know, I at one point this season wondered if the good was going to outweigh the bad with him, because there has been a lot of good. Allison's finally getting into some basketball with me now, and she compared him to Javi Baez, which I think makes a lot of sense.
Ooh, I like that.
A young Puerto Rican that is exciting, flashy, but makes a lot of, I mean, especially as a young player like Javi was.
That makes a ton of sense, Allison.
Just
I like it.
Flashy, makes a lot of mistakes, but does a lot of good things. I just wondered if the good was going to outweigh the bad, but the last couple of weeks, the good has absolutely outweighed the bad with him. So he stepped up ever since you got his attention, and
that's what it takes.
You know what? It's that Michigan game was fantastic.
Yeah. So
but that was only the start of it.
Curbelo went on to score 12 points in that Michigan State game. I don't know how many came in the second half, but probably 12 of them. He had 4 rebounds that game. The very next game, Nebraska, he was 2 assists away from a triple-double. 10 points, 12 rebounds, 8 assists. Wisconsin, 17 points, 7 rebounds. Michigan, 17 points, 6 rebounds. Ohio State, 19 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. He has been Illinois' best player since Io went out. And
he's
it's incredible.
An absolute spark plug off the bench.
He's a future All-American.
I don't think I would have saw that coming halfway through the season, but at this point, yeah.
Nope. That'll take us right into Ohio State, which I don't know about you, but about 2 minutes left. I had almost given up hope. I think Ohio State was up by four-ish points there with a couple minutes left. I was like, all right, about what we expected. The loss, it's okay, on the road, whatever. And then Illinois scores 9 straight. And once again, Dosunmu returns in his Batman mask, looking like Bruce Wayne. And he scores another bucket in the final minute to give Illinois the win. This time a layup and one to make it 71-68. Illinois hits a couple more free throws to win it by 5. Like I said, I don't know about you, but I had almost given up hope. And that's when Io is his best.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I was the same way. I remember thinking nearly that exact same thing at that point. I didn't think it was going to happen, but they pulled it off. The defense was great down the stretch too. DeMonte plays some excellent defense.
Hit a huge 3 too.
He hit a hit. He doesn't miss when when it's a catch and shoot situation, and they just leave him wide open. I mean, he's not enough of a threat where teams feel like they need to, get in front of him. But when he catches,
that's such a change.
He doesn't miss. I know.
And that's such an improvement, because people weren't leaving the lane on him his freshman sophomore year because he wouldn't shoot and couldn't shoot. And now he's the 3rd best 3-point shooter in the country, I believe.
Yeah. He doesn't take a ton of shots, but when he does not miss.
Ohio State made it 68-64 with 3:48 left on an E.J. Liddell 3, who E.J. Liddell is just going to kill Illinois for 4 years. Well, 2 more years because he's a sophomore. So with 3:48 left, Ohio State scored their 68th point. DeMonte tied it up at 68 with 1:33 left. So more than 2 minutes later, Ohio State goes without a point. They finished with 68. So they didn't score the final 3:48 of the game. DeMonte hits a 3, Io layup, free throw, and 2 more free throws. I mean, I didn't see that coming anywhere. I mean, all Ohio State had to do was score one more bucket, and they probably win that game.
You have the timestamp on the text message I sent you during that game?
Probably. I don't know. We texted a lot. It would take some. It would take some scrolling.
About interior player and
Oh
his
yes, good point.
lack of
4:12.
passing the basketball.
It was 4:12 in the afternoon. I don't know at what point in the game that was, but 4:12 Central Time. And that is a good point. We can talk about that. Every time Kofi gets the ball inside, and it's not really just Kofi. I think Georgie is guilty of this as well. It's not going back out.
No.
And I tweeted this weeks ago too. If Kofi or Georgie get the ball in the paint, it's either a shot, a foul, or a turnover.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those three. Kofi has 3 assists this year. So when I say never, it doesn't go out. It does occasionally, I guess. But that is such a missed opportunity because Kofi is getting at least triple teamed every time he touches the ball. So if he kicks it out, if he finds the right guy and kicks it out, that's a wide open 3 or at least a pass and a rotation, and it leads to an open shot. That is one of my biggest pet peeves with Illinois and the post players. And I don't know if that's something that they tell him when you get the ball, go up with it or what. But
that's what
if I could improve one thing with this team, NBA dunk contest on Cassius Stanley just had a filthy, I think his head was above the rim. That's the one thing I would change with this team. Post passing.
Yeah, I agree. And as you said, I don't know if that's something he's being told not to pass.
Mm-hmm.
It's very possible because I mean, the comment I made to you is that more often than not, he's able to score.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason has one of the highest shooting percentages in the country. I mean, he just, when he gets the ball down there, more than likely he's going to end up with points. Now he doesn't make free throws when he gets fouled.
Right.
But there's just so many times where, especially I felt like this happened more against Ohio State than I've seen it most of the season. He's getting triple teamed down there and they are collapsing on him.
Sometimes all 5 guys are going down there.
Yeah, they're absolutely collapsing on him and he just does not dish it out, which, you know what, they're still winning and whatever. I'm not going to complain about it too much, but like, that's, as you said, that's a pet peeve that I'm just continuing to see with this situation. And I mean, whatever, it's still resulting in wins. So let's just keep that rolling.
So I told you guys listening to remember the 16-4 record for Illinois. That is their Big Ten record. Michigan is 14-3, 2 less losses, 1 less win. Winning percentage for Michigan is 824. Illinois is 800. So they do have the better winning percentage, but they also played 3 less games. So Logan, I present this question to you. Who is the Big Ten regular season champion?
Well, as of right now, as of recording, I believe the only technical answer is still Michigan.
You are correct.
However, it should be a shared title. I firmly believe that. Had Michigan won today, no, that wasn't. I know Illinois was already, the players were trying to claim it after they beat Ohio State. I wasn't totally there.
I think there's an argument though.
There could be an argument, sure.
16 wins to 15 wins.
Sure, absolutely. But when you're talking about, if we're talking about percentage points, which is what they're going off of, the percentage point difference was significantly larger. Would have been significantly larger had Michigan beat Michigan State. So I wasn't totally on that train had that happened. But since it didn't, since Michigan State did beat Michigan today, I am in full belief that there should be a shared title situation and that there should be a banner hanging in the State Farm Center next year for the regular season champion this year. Not that there aren't more important things on the horizon. I think there's a conference tournament coming up here that they can win, and there's a national tournament. So there are definitely bigger aspirations ahead. So I don't think we need to dwell on it too much. But I do believe that, and I get it. I'm biased. I understand that, but I think that even the biased fans have an argument. Everything about the last year, almost year to the day, has been a very fluid situation in everything we do.
Yep.
The Big Ten made changes to their rules and guidelines for football with Ohio State. You know what? If this is, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Michigan. Like that's the other thing too. Like there's nothing to Michigan had a fantastic season and absolutely deserved to be able to celebrate on the court the other night with the confetti and claim their title. And they should have every right to have a banner hanging at Chrysler next year that says Big Ten champion. Nothing at all against them.
Mm-hmm.
But Illinois should also have one of those as well.
Can't disagree with you. Can't disagree with you at all. What I thought was interesting, and I just tweeted this out before the show. I don't know if you've been on Twitter since then. If you go to ESPN and you look at the standings,
mm-hmm.
they have Michigan at the top, 14-3, and they have the GB games behind with the dash, and then they have Illinois right below them at 16-4. Iowa is below Illinois, and for games behind for Iowa, it says 1.5.
Yeah.
For Illinois, it says plus 0.5. So even ESPN is saying Illinois is actually ahead of Michigan.
Yeah.
So is it going to happen? I doubt it, just because you would have think they would have came out and said something by now.
No, I agree. This is obviously something that wouldn't happen in a normal time. Mm-hmm. In a normal year, everybody plays the same amount of teams. They plays the same amount of games. You wouldn't have this issue.
Yep.
And it's not like we're talking 1 or 2 game different. We're talking 3 games. I mean, Illinois got in all 20 of their conference games.
Mm-hmm. So
I'm not trying to pat anybody on the back or take anything away from anybody. That is not what this is about. This whole thing has been about more than basketball for the last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have anything negative to say about what happened to Michigan this year or about anything that Juwan Howard decision he made, whatever. That's not the point. Yep. The point is, if you're going to award Michigan despite not having to play those 3 games, which they probably would have won, but if we're not factoring that in, mm-hmm. then I don't know why we can't also award the team that had the most wins and only had 1 more loss and played 3 more games and throttled the other team the one time they played.
Yep. Can't disagree
with
you. As
you said, will it happen? I don't know. Probably not.
Yeah.
But I don't. Who necessarily makes those decisions? Because didn't UCF technically claim a national championship in football a few years ago?
I thought the same thing. So, I almost tweeted, if UCF can claim a national championship for going undefeated, Illinois can claim a Big Ten. But
if Illinois just goes to some sign shop and says, "Hey, can you print me out a banner that says Big Ten champion? Can we fly that in Safe Harbor Center? Is the Big Ten going to make them take it down?"
The UCF claimed the national championship because there was one outlet that called them national champions that year.
Oh, okay. That's right.
I don't know who it was, and I'm not going to take the time to look it up. But someone called UCF the national champions because they were undefeated, so they put the banner up. So that's where that comes from. So I don't foresee Illinois getting the championship. By the time we release this Monday morning, maybe the Big Ten says something. I doubt it. But if they do, great, because regular season titles are so much better than conference championship tournament titles. So neither here nor there. We'll see what happens. But I do think, and I think you'll probably agree with me, that the win Saturday, both wins this week, clinch a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, no matter what happens in the Big Ten tournament. I'm looking, I don't know if you know the website or the listeners know the website, bracketmatrix.com. It takes a bunch of different bracketologists, 122 actually, to be exact, some better than others, I'm sure. But Illinois average seed of 1.07. Gonzaga and Michigan are 1.0. Every single bracketologist has Gonzaga and Michigan as a 1. Baylor is 1.01. So they might have 1 or maybe 2 as a 2 seed. And Illinois is 1.07. The next is Alabama at 1.97. So I think a lot of people are of the same thinking that Illinois is pretty well locked into that number 1 seed, which is pretty incredible given that this is going to be their first NCAA tournament. I know last year they would have been, but we didn't have a tournament. So Illinois goes from no tournaments for 6-7 years to a number 1 seed. That says so much about this program and the rise that Brad Underwood has taken this program on to be a number 1 seed, which is huge because you avoid Baylor and Gonzaga until potentially the Final Four, and Michigan, potentially the Final Four, which are those are the 4 best teams in the country if you include Illinois, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And I think that we've talked about it before. I think this Illinois team is good enough they've proven they're good enough to beat nearly every team in the country on any particular day. Now, I've also seen them play poor enough to lose to any team in the country on any particular day, but we haven't seen them play like that quite some time. I don't think that's the team we're going to see show up the rest of the season. So yeah, I mean, to not have to see Gonzaga and Baylor, especially, and Michigan until they get to that far. There are certainly matchups we'll see that could potentially scare you a little bit, but I mean, I think that Illinois has proven that they are absolutely one of the best 4 teams in the country. I guess my question is, and I agree with you, I think they're locked into a 1. I guess my only question is there a path for Ohio State if they run through the tournament, beat Michigan and Iowa on the way, and Illinois loses out on Friday? Is there a path for that, or do you think Illinois has it locked in? I mean, that's really the only scenario I can think of, just because in order to do it, they would have to beat Purdue, Michigan, and then Iowa.
Yeah,
I think exactly an easy route.
I think if Illinois gets to Sunday, there's no doubt.
No, for sure.
I mean,
I think if they get to Saturday, there's no doubt. I'm just saying if that were to happen.
Let's say Ohio State beats Michigan on Saturday in the semifinal, and then Ohio State goes on to beat Illinois or Iowa in the final and wins it. I think then it comes down to 2 of the 3, Ohio State, Michigan, Illinois. And I would almost say Michigan gets bumped out. They've lost 2 of 3 already.
Yeah.
Illinois won.
It's possible.
Wasn't Illinois 9-5 at one point? I meant to look this up before we started recording. I believe Illinois was 9-5 at one point, and they're now 20-6. Yeah. So they're playing some of the best basketball in the country.
Yeah. No, I don't think it's a realistic scenario. I think Illinois and Michigan are locked into those 2 spots, but that's the only scenario I can really envision.
Yeah.
Because Alabama is not going to have a path like that in their conference tournament.
Ohio State's on a 4-game losing streak entering the tournament.
Yeah. They're not playing well.
Yeah. So I don't see it. I think it's locked, which is good for Illinois. Let's run through that Big Ten tournament, though. I meant to do that after we were talking about the standings, and it slipped my mind. Michigan, the number 1 seed. Mm-hmm. So Wednesday starts with Minnesota, Northwestern, Nebraska, Penn State. Those are 11 through 14. And then Thursday, Michigan State is 9th, Maryland 8th. That opens up the day. Then you got the Minnesota Northwestern winner against 5 Ohio State. Illinois will play the winner of number 10 Indiana and number 7 Rutgers. That game is on Thursday at 5:30. And then Wisconsin is the 6th. So Wisconsin and the winner of Nebraska Penn State will close out Thursday's games. Friday, Michigan has their first game against either Michigan State or Maryland. Ooh, Michigan State, Michigan rematch potentially. Mm-hmm. Purdue is the 4 seed, waiting on that group of 3 teams, whoever comes out. Illinois, for all you, this is the big one. Illinois plays at 5:30 on Friday, 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, not Logan Lee time, 6:30 for Logan, against either Indiana or Rutgers, who Illinois went 2-0 against Indiana, lost to Rutgers at Rutgers early in the Big Ten season. And then Iowa is the last game. They got the 3 seed. So they close it out Friday against either Wisconsin, Nebraska, or Penn State. So Big Ten tournament is set. I do love the Big Ten tournament, but I was just tweeting back and forth with Derek Fabert saying that, and I kind of wanted to say this earlier today on Twitter and social media, I think the regular season champ should get the automatic bid to the NCAA tournament because it holds so much more weight to me than the conference tournaments. Do you have a thought on that?
I don't disagree with you. But I think the other argument to that is, then what's the point of the conference tournaments at all?
Agreed.
And you can't really give out 2 bids to some of these smaller schools, some smaller conferences. So you have to choose one or the other. So obviously, if you're going to just do the regular season, then there's no point in playing the conference tournament. But that's also where you get a lot of the Cinderellas. For the major conferences, it's not a big deal. It really isn't.
Yeah.
You're talking for the Big Ten, I think it's pretty much set what teams are getting in at this point. You might have a team play their way into it.
I don't think so. I think the Big Ten has 9 teams, and I think it'll stay because 10 is right. 10 would be Indiana, and I don't think there's any way they can play themselves.
And I'm just saying from a major conference perspective in general, not necessarily the Big Ten this particular season, but I think the conference tournament means a lot more for the smaller schools.
Yeah.
When you have like the Valley, the
Mm-hmm.
Valley is usually maybe a 2-bid league anymore. If you're lucky, it probably should be this year. But you can have teams, like Southern that can play their way into it. That's not nearly as common with the major conferences. So I can see where you're coming from. But I think that's why it's in place. And I don't know that you can decide that, the major conferences are going to go by the regular season and the mid majors are going to go by the conference tournament. I agree, but I think there's a lot more on it than that.
Yep. Last basketball topic for me, at least. I'm going to put you on the spot. Who's your Big Ten tournament winner? Who do you think comes out this weekend?
The way they're playing right now, it might be Michigan State. I don't think that happens though. I think Michigan comes out at the top half.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I want to say Illinois comes out of the bottom half. They would have to play poorly. They're better than Iowa. I could see a scenario. I can see obviously them losing to Iowa. That's not like a ridiculous thing to think about.
We should check on Joe Wieskamp though. I think he got hurt today.
It's a very boring pick. I'd probably pick Michigan.
I would too. They lost Eli Brooks though, I think.
It just makes the most sense. I'd love it to be Illinois, and obviously they have as good of a shot as anybody. So we'll have to see. But if I'm going to put, I guess my pick right now would be Michigan, as boring as that is.
Yeah, I think I would agree.
I think if Michigan and Illinois match up again, I think Michigan gets them. I don't know that goes any other way.
Yeah.
But we also said that, they would lose last time too. So if we keep picking them to lose, then maybe they'll just keep on winning.
Yeah. Joe Wieskamp was helped off the court today with an ankle injury. Obviously, they're not going to say anything before the tournament, but he's not going to be 100%. I'm sure of that.
No.
So
I was keeping an eye on that because I was really interested in that other scenario.
Yep.
I would much rather see Purdue in that second round or on that Saturday matchup.
Yep. If Wisconsin would have beaten Iowa today, it would have moved Purdue down to the bottom half and Iowa up to the top half, which would have really helped Illinois, I think, in my opinion. All right. So Big Ten tournament this week. Illinois kicks it off Friday. Hopefully 3 good games, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll have something to talk about Sunday night. Hopefully a Big Ten conference tournament championship.
The last time they played in a conference championship?
I believe it was 2008.
It was. I was there. They were terrible.
They were like the 11 seed.
Yeah. Warren Carter.
Yeah.
I remember they were terrible. And my dad and I and a few others drove over and got tickets right behind the basket. Mm-hmm. And there was like hardly anybody there. And it was tremendous. So 2008, that's a long time.
It's my senior year of high school.
Yikes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's give me a drum roll. This isn't the Oscars. This isn't the Golden Globes. This is the creme de la creme of movie awards. It is the 2020 Logeys COVID-19 edition, as he posted. Logan Lee takes his time and not really critiques, just kind of ranks every movie he sees in the calendar year.
Yep.
I guess he knows more about it than I do. So Logan, take it away. First, I think you should probably tell people how this works and what exactly this is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Started doing this back in 2012, where I watch movies throughout the year. And then at the end, similar to the Golden Globes or the Oscars, I talk about movies. So I hand out awards. They're not real awards. Obviously, I don't have a budget for this kind of stuff. I'm not mailing Jamie Foxx a little trophy. Although I should, that'd be fun.
You really should.
But no, I just, I post it on a blog somewhere, and I hand out awards. So I do, your best actor, your best actress, that type of stuff. And then talk about different categories. And then eventually score a top 9 or top 10. So yeah, that's what I did. That's what I did this year as well. We kind of talked about movies a little bit last week with the Golden Globes. It was a weird year for movies. Just wasn't, and this was kind of my overarching theme, although I did have a whole write up ahead of time that was going to go above all this stuff. Basically, in memoriam for Family Video. That's how I was going to start. But I ended up just doing a short little blurb about it. But RIP Family Video. But no, this year was just kind of, I mean, a lot of it was obviously due to the pandemic.
Yeah.
We just didn't get a lot of the movies that we were supposed to get. Usually like superhero movies or, you know, all the buzz, and we just didn't really get those kind of movies this year. So,
yeah.
You know, even my top movies of the year weren't really necessarily movies that I feel like are all that powerful to me or that were all that good to me. Or maybe I'm just comparing it too much to last year, which 2019 was a really good year for movies, at least in my opinion. But yeah, so that's what I did. You can read all of this on my site. It's the logeys.medium.com.
We'll post the link in the YouTube.
Post the link in the, it's also on my, probably a link to it on my Twitter as well. But yeah, I mean, we'll just kind of touch on some of the big things.
Now you have some categories that you did yourself, right? They're not all, or are these all?
No, yeah. I mean, I do like best actor, best actress, lead actor, lead actress, but then I also do best vocal performance, which this year was kind of bland, but I went with Jamie Foxx for Soul. Best young actor and actress, which isn't really a category you see much. The Critics' Choice do it, actually. They just had their award show tonight. I gave that one to Ryder Allen from Palmer. Palmer is a Apple TV movie starring Justin Timberlake. Timberlake plays a guy who's ran into some trouble, comes out of prison, comes back to live with his grandma, who is also she's also kind of keeping a close eye on the neighbor boy, who his mom's not in a great position herself. And Justin Timberlake's character and Ryder Allen's character, the young boy in the movie, kind of build a relationship. And so it's a good movie. I do recommend it. The kid, though, Ryder Allen, was fantastic. So yeah, I did give that one. And I do funniest performance as well, which was interesting because had I done it, like, I could have easily done this as, you know, Maria Bakalova and Sacha Baron Cohen as one, because, you know, they were just kind of a team in Borat. And the other one, I doubt you've seen it. Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar, which I said was the funniest movie of the year too. That was fantastic. It wasn't the best movie of the year by any stretch of the imagination, but it was just a hilarious experience. I don't know what else to call it. But yeah, so I did funniest performance for Maria Bakalova for Borat. I didn't really love Borat, but she was great in it. And then supporting actor, Daniel Kaluuya from Judas and the Black Messiah, who will likely win most of the best supporting actors for best. He won at the Golden Globes, so probably win at the Oscars. Bakalova for supporting actress, which I don't know that she'll get nominated for the Oscars. She might. I think it's certainly possible, but I think she was the best of the whole group. Amanda Seyfried is one to look out there too for Mank. She was great in it. I don't know that she's going to win. And I didn't really like her quite as much. I had some mixed feelings with Mank. We can kind of talk about that a little later. Chadwick Boseman, I went with for lead actor for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which he, you know, posthumously won his Golden Globe for last week, and will likely do the same with the Oscars. I threw in Ben Affleck though in that category, which isn't probably one that's going to get much acclaim elsewhere, but Ben Affleck in The Way Back. The Way Back is a basketball movie that came out earlier in the year. Yep. Probably Ben Affleck's best performance as an actor, at least the best performance he's had in several years. He was fantastic in the movie. I think had it come out later in the year, he probably would have had more buzz for that movie. Another recommendation there, another round, Mads Mikkelsen. That is it's a movie that needs to be checked out. It's basically about a group of guys, middle-aged guys, who decide that drinking is the way to solve their problems, and they kind of just go out of their way to like become functioning alcoholics. It's a Danish movie, so it is obviously in a different language. But that is, that was definitely one of the better movies of the year. And he was great in that as well. So, and then my other there, Carey Mulligan for Promising Young Woman for lead actress. Promising Young Woman, which I'll talk on in here in a little bit, was a great movie, and Carey Mulligan was fantastic. So that was that. And then let's see, what else could we talk about? I think I should probably just touch on a few movies here. One movie that I know a lot of people haven't heard of, and I know you haven't heard of it. We literally just talked about it off air. The movie's called Shithouse. Shithouse is, okay, hear me out. Shithouse was directed, written, and starred by a young man by the name of Cooper Raiff. Cooper Raiff is like 22 years old. And he wrote this short film, basically, for him and his friends to film on their spring break, basically. And it ended up becoming a little bit more than that. He got some actual funding for it and turned it into a feature film. And it won a bunch of awards at some film festivals earlier in the year. It's essentially about a kid that it's kind of based on his true life experience in college, but he's homesick, and he develops a good friendship with the, I believe it's his RA in his dorm, and they have a good relationship, and then things kind of fall apart, and it's kind of the story of their relationship over the course of most of that year, that semester at least. Shithouse is fantastic. I recommend it to anybody, but that's definitely one to mention.
Is that on a streaming service?
It's not on a streaming service right now. Last I checked, it's available to rent. Gotcha. Through Amazon or through Apple or wherever you get your movies from, but it's not available on a streamer yet, I don't believe. But yeah, it's definitely one to check out. And then I gave my top 9 movies for the year, and I'll just kind of breeze through those real quick. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which I mentioned, Chadwick Boseman and Viola Davis. That's on Netflix. It's a really good movie. They're both fantastic in it. One Night in Miami is Regina King directed it. That is essentially about a fictional night that took place between Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, and Sam Cooke. And it takes place after Muhammad Ali's, he was still Cassius Clay at the time, one of his fights in Miami, and kind of like these fictional events that happen after that. But it's essentially just one long conversation between the four of them. Leslie Odom Jr. of Hamilton fame is fantastic in that as well. Mank, I put at 7th. Mank is the one that I have some issues with, just because I think it's a really good movie. It's just super well done, but I use this word a lot when I'm describing the movie, but it's the best way I can describe it. I just feel like it's inaccessible. I just don't feel like it's a movie that it's just not for everybody. You have to really understand 30s and 40s and Hollywood. And most people that are going to watch this movie just don't know, like, it's a David Fincher movie, and David Fincher has directed some of my favorite movies of all time. I mean, The Social Network and Fight Club and Zodiac, and he has a great run of great movies. And this one is not a bad movie; it's an excellent movie. It's just such a far turn from what he usually does. It was just kind of hard even for me as somebody that watches a lot of movies. It's essentially about the guy that wrote Citizen Kane. That's what that movie is.
Is it a black and white film?
It is in black and white. Yeah. Gary Oldman's in it. Amanda Seyfried's in it. It's a great movie. It's shot really well, really good score, all the technical stuff. It'll probably win some awards, but just as a casual movie fan, you just have to really know what that movie's about to really enjoy it. Palm Springs, which is probably from an enjoyment standpoint, one of the best of the year. Andy Samberg and Kristen Milioti. I talked about that a little bit last week. It's like a Ground Day-esque time loop kind of comedy, rom-com. Soul, another one we've talked about, the best animated of the year. I had it number 5. Minari is a really, really good film that's about a Korean immigrant family that's basically trying to live in rural America. really great cast. The kid in it is really good as well. Alan S. Kim is his name. Trial of Chicago 7, which we've talked about a little bit. Aaron Sorkin's movie. He wrote and directed it. Takes place with the story about the Chicago riots in 1968. Nomadland, I put it number 2. That's the Chloe Zhao movie with Frances McDormand, which again we talked about a lot of these last week. And then finally, Promising Young Woman is the one that I picked as my film of the year. I think it's a really good movie. It's also probably the most enjoyable movie I found of the year. It was a lot of twists and turns. It's kind of thriller-esque, but it's more like a dark comedy type thing, drama. It's really good. It was definitely one of the better ones of the year for me. I know a lot of people probably haven't seen it yet. It's also not on a streamer. You have to pay to $20 still to rent that one. But it's definitely worth it once it's more available to people to watch. So that is that. Do you have any comments, Mr. Schote?
Of Logan's 9 best movies of the year,
yeah,
I have seen one.
Yeah, well, you're not alone. See, here's the thing about this year. That's where
we differ.
Here's the thing about this year. All these movies, most of these movies were accessible on streaming services.
Yeah.
So a lot of people did see a lot of these movies, but a lot of them are just not. A lot of these aren't movies that people would even go to the theater to see.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was just a weird year. That's kind of been my whole thing from the beginning. Yeah. Some of my favorite this year we had movies from Aaron Sorkin, who wrote Social Network and wrote Moneyball, 2 of my favorite movies of the last 10 years. We had films from David Fincher, who directed Social Network, directed Fight Club, Zodiac, excellent movies. Soul, Pixar movie that, everybody loves Pixar. I love Pixar. I love all their movies. And the other one, King of Staten Island, Judd Apatow movie with Pete Davidson in it.
Yeah.
I didn't talk about that one, but my thing was like, those are all directors and studios that I really enjoy. And I'm really excited every time they come out with movies, but none of those movies I felt like were really close to those particular directors' best work. Yeah. It just wasn't really there for me. So that was kind of the most frustrating thing for me. So this year was just kind of bland when it came to movies. We still had some good ones, some worth checking out. But that's where we are. So maybe over the course of time, I know it usually takes you a few months to see movies. So you'll be texting me in July saying you finally saw Palm Springs, and I'll be like, great, that came out a year ago. So that's how this will be. So
there was one, and this is not related to the Logeys at all, but just it was during COVID. Midnight in Paris, maybe. I think I watched the one with it's got Owen Wilson in it.
Yeah.
And you were like, yeah, I've never seen it. I was like,
yeah.
Well, it was really good.
We've talked about this. Excuse me. I have a confession. As much as I'm a big movie guy, there's a lot, like a lot. Like I have this one of those scratch off poster things with like, the top 100 movies, best 100 movies of all time, whatever.
Yeah.
Like I've seen like 30 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking like classic movies. We're talking, right. I'm not going to mention any names because I know people will just be adding me in the comment section, but it's bad.
It'll take away all credibility for the Logeys if you admit it.
If it came out since the Logeys started, I've probably seen it.
Yeah.
But if it came out before then, my parents make fun of me all the time, but I'm working on it. I'm slowly starting to make my way through it.
I mean, I read the Logeys every year, and
thank you. You're one of a few.
In a normal year, I will at least know 90%. Maybe probably haven't watched them, but at least know. But this year, there were 90% that I had never even heard of. So I mean, I assumed it was going to be a bad year. I'd seen the Trial of the Chicago 7. I watched The Way Back. I've seen parts of Soul, like we talked about previously on this episode or this podcast. So
I kind of pride myself in kind of towing the line between like, the awards caliber movies and the big blockbusters. I mean, when I do my final top 10 of the year, there's usually at least one animated movie on there. There's usually at least one superhero movie on there. Like there's usually a mix of blockbusters that everybody saw and, the ones that are going to win Oscars that, nobody saw. Like I usually have a good mix of that. So this year there just wasn't really that there wasn't that ability. We didn't get we got Wonder Woman. It wasn't very good.
Yeah.
We got Birds of Prey. It was fine. I mean, we didn't get those opportunities. Tenet was the biggest blockbuster release of the year, and nobody saw it because nobody could go to the theaters.
Yeah.
It was good. That's another one in that, when I was talking about Fincher and Sorkin, Christopher Nolan also made a movie this year. It was good, not his best. It was just kind of loud, and I didn't understand what was going on. So kind of par for the course with him. But
yeah.
So that's kind of that. That's my take on movies for the year. If you want to read the whole thing, you can find them. There will be a link below this and a link on my Twitter page. So go find it. It's worth a read. But I do talk about Family Video for a little bit. RIP.
I know it's a long. We're a long ways from when we were growing up.
Okay, I'm done rambling.
Last thing on this is, are we getting out of this where 2021 we should have some contenders back?
I would hope so. There were several movies that were supposed to come out this year that didn't, obviously for obvious reasons, but more so than even just like the big blockbusters. Like there was the French Dispatch, which was supposed to be which was the new Wes Anderson movie that didn't come out. And it looks like we're going to start getting some of these. A Quiet Place 2, Krasinski tweeted out the other night that it looks like they're still on for their Memorial Day release. Looks like they're still planning to release Black Widow here in May. So if that comes out, then we will probably start getting some of the Marvel movies. So yes, I would think that the direction we're trending, that we will start getting theaters opened up and people will start going to movies again. And so hopefully 2021 looks a little better for me than 2020 did. I'm hoping.
Yep.
But we're already to March and it's not really good so far. I did see Raya the Last Dragon the other day. That's the new Disney animated one. That's my first technical 2021 movie of the year. It was fine. But so we're starting 2021 off. All right. But hopefully it gets better. I'm hoping.
Right. We're waiting 362 days away from the next release of the Logeys 2021.
I can't wait. I need a nap before then.
We'll get plenty of them. Right. Moving on from movies to TV, WandVision season 1. Maybe, I don't know. Is it the only season? I don't know. Is there another season?
Did you see what that episode was called though?
Episode
9 was called the series finale.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of what I thought from when I watched it. But at the conclusion, Logan tweeted, quote, "I have ... thoughts." So, Logan, I ask you, what are those thoughts you have on WandVision?
Okay, we're gonna have spoilers here. So
we told yep. We said last week that there will be spoilers.
And you expect to watch WandVision, you might want to turn it off. But my thoughts were that I thought that it was I thought the finale was fine. Mm-hmm. I thought it was a really good show. Mm-hmm. It was a well done finale. I don't think that the 9th episode was the best episode. I think they rushed a lot of things, trying to cram a lot of things into 50 minutes. I think I came out a little underwhelmed
with the finale or the show.
With the finale. Well, a little bit of both.
Okay.
But let me tell you why. And this is not necessarily anybody's fault. But I think as a fan and as somebody that's been a little too deep into the theories, I think I was just expecting a little more.
Yeah.
And that is partially on me. Mm-hmm. And that's partially on me and other fans that are deep into the theories that are coming up with all these things. So I'm not blaming Kevin Feige or anybody at Marvel Studios for that. However, I just don't understand. You give us this character from a different universe. You tease us to the fact we know this universe, this multiverse is coming, and then you give us a character from another Marvel universe that comes into the show to play the same character. He's Pietro, and then you just end it with a dick joke. Like that's it.
I
Like,
forgot about that.
that's how this ends. You bring in Pietro from the other universe just to tease us, then you just end it with his last name is Boner. Like, really? Is that really what you want to do to us?
Yeah.
I think like that was just kind of like, all right, well, I wasn't let down. I wasn't disappointed. That's not the right phrasing, but I think underwhelmed fits, just because I think I was expecting a little more. Now, had I not been so deep into the theories, it might have been different. The other thing that I will say is, and I don't remember how this order was supposed to happen, but COVID screwed up a lot of things in the world in general, but specifically in this conversation with the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
And things were supposed to be released in different orders than they were. When WandaVision was originally supposed to come out, we already should have seen, by the time WandaVision came out, we would have already seen Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, Falcon and Winter Soldier, maybe even Loki. And WandaVision was supposed to end just like a month or two before Doctor Strange starts.
Gotcha.
So I think we've just been teased about this whole multiverse thing for a while.
Yeah.
We were teased about it with the Spider-Man movie, and now we're teased about it with this. We know something's happening in Doctor Strange. A lot of it's just timing. A lot of it's the actors saying stupid things in interviews about cameos that aren't happening.
That pissed me off.
There was a lot of things that happened that I think led to my underwhelmingness.
Yeah.
My general thoughts though was that it was a good season of TV.
Yeah.
It was a great show. I was fine with the ending, but I think yes, due to a variety of things, including my own self, I was a little underwhelmed.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I texted you multiple times, not about the finale, just about the show, of how confused I was. I have trouble following when it does flashbacks and different universes and stuff. So, spoiler alert, but like at the end when she's sitting there or standing there at what is or was their house, and it's just the foundation, which that's where she was when she screams and like forms the world. So I'm like, wait, was this all fake? Or like, did this take place in like the snap of a finger and now she's coming back from that? Like,
yeah,
I was like, wait,
what? I thought about that too.
I was like, did that not happen? Was she dreaming that? Or was it one of those things where it was almost like a time travel thing? Like I watched Back to the Future today, where like he goes back to 1955, but when he comes back, it's the exact same moment that he left. Is it one of those things? Like that was my biggest takeaway. And I said it to Christy. I was like, wait, did none of that just happen? Yeah. So that confused me big time.
I kind of had a similar thought. I'm like, no, that's not how they're going to end this. This is not going to be, this is just a dream thing.
Yeah.
No, that I don't think that's what they're saying. I do get where you're coming from though.
Yeah.
But yes, there was a lot of things that, as well done as a lot of it was, there was a lot that was just left unanswered and that was kind of confusing. And a lot of it too, it's setting up more stuff. So a lot of the stuff is going to come up later. I know that. That's how this universe works. They all tie into one another. But yes, I agree with you. There was some things that were a little confusing about how some of this worked.
I didn't like the Vision battle. That was not well done, in my opinion.
No, that was weird. That was weird. And then he just disappeared.
Exactly.
White Vision just vanished. Like, okay.
Well, didn't
the side characters? There was nothing for the side characters at all. I mean, if other than Wanda, Vision, and Agatha, none of them had anything. Monica was hardly there. Jimmy Woo was hardly there.
While we mentioned Agatha, props to Catherine Hahn. She did great.
Was tremendous.
Yeah.
Gosh, she was great.
Yeah, she was really good. Didn't with the whole Mind Stone transfer or whatever. her figment of vision became like went into white vision and they like came out as one. That's the way I took that.
I don't think they came out as one. No, I think he transferred his what he knows to him, but then the white vision just left.
Okay.
He just flew away.
Okay.
I think. So yeah, I don't know. That was just kind of weird.
Yeah.
Again, I just think they tried to cram a lot into 50 minutes.
Yeah.
Like it's just weird. I don't know.
2 credit scenes. For
We
those
did
that
get
are
2 credit scenes.
for those that are still listening through the spoilers, there is a mid-credit scene and an end-credit scene. I think the end credit scene confused me more than anything. She's sitting outside at her cabin, and then the camera goes in the cabin, and Wanda is sitting on the stairs of her cabin outside, and the camera goes in the cabin, and the Scarlet Witch is like in the wall. I don't know what that means.
That was Doctor Strange. That was something that Doctor Strange and other wizards or witches, wizards, whoever is able to do. But I guess, and I have to go back and watch this, but I believe it works. Usually those people have to be sleeping. Like that's how he's able to like know all the stuff that he does.
Okay.
Is that when when his body's asleep, like he's still able to like do all these things.
Yeah.
So like there are several times during Doctor Strange where that's happening. But also the music that's playing during that is Doctor Strange's music.
Okay.
And then you can hear the kids.
Yep.
So that's setting up. I still think Mephisto's around. I don't think that's a dead thing. I think he'll be around at some point. But yeah, that's a Doctor Strange reference. That was our lead into the Doctor Strange movie, which now isn't coming out till next year. But originally, as I said, when this was supposed to be happening, Doctor Strange was only supposed to be like a month or 2 away.
And the mid-credit will probably lead into Captain Marvel 2.
Correct.
Because the mid-credit, I forgot her name already.
Monica
is in a theater with someone who she thinks is an FBI agent, and that turns out to be a Skrull who says that one of your mom's friends wants to see you, and she points up. So either Captain Marvel or Nick Fury.
Probably
something like that.
Would be my guess. Yeah.
So that's
setting up Captain Marvel 2 and probably Secret Invasions, which is one of the other Marvel show or the Disney Plus shows that's supposed to be coming out. That's supposed to be about the Skrulls. So yeah, we're just setting up a lot, which is what Marvel does.
Right. Interesting. That was an interesting thought though that you had about what we should have seen by now when we got to watch WandaVision. So I'm wondering how much their thought process changed and what they had to change. I had not thought of that till you said that.
Well, and one of the things that I've listened to somebody talk about or read somebody talk about it. I don't remember who it was, but because we've been expecting multiverse stuff, we've been expecting mutants. So like when Evan Peters' character shows up as Quicksilver, it's certainly possible that by now in their original plan, we might have learned a little bit about mutants or some sort of multiverse. We might have more of an explanation as to why his character just shows up there.
Yeah.
But then still, they just end it with a boner joke. I just like that was just weird, and I don't know what's going on there. But that's why I'm not as mad as I am for them for doing some of the things that they did. I can't fully understand everything until I know like all the stuff that was supposed to happen. Because as I said, by the time WandaVision came out originally, we would have already seen all these things. So we might have had some of these things answered.
Yep.
So who knows?
What do you give it out of 10? What do you give the series out of 10?
Oh man, I don't score TV series that often. I mean, it teeters around a solid 8 for me, I think.
Okay. Yeah. I thought it was quality. It was entertaining.
There were some episodes that were better than others.
Yeah.
I thought the show was really strong in the middle.
Yeah. The using old formats like Modern Family and I Love Lucy and Malcolm in the Middle, it was cool. But was there a point, or is that just kind of?
Well, that was her. That's
how she grew up.
She wanted to live. Yeah. She grew up watching sitcoms.
Yeah.
So that's when she.
So that's how she
created this fantasy world. That's what she was doing.
Yep.
She wanted to live with her husband and her children in this
Yep.
fantasy world and be
Don't
like
we all?
Dick Van Dyke and Frankie Muniz. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was hoping there would be an animated episode. We get a Family Guy or Simpsons.
Oh, that'd be, yeah.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
But no, I was pleased overall. Little
Yeah.
underwhelmed in the end.
Yeah.
Very rarely does a show hit on all cylinders in a finale. But overall, I was pleased with it. And
I agree.
Now we only have 1 week off before Falcon and Winter Soldier starts. So
that's right.
you gonna watch that one, or are Falcon and Bucky not high enough on your list of Marvel characters?
I saw the preview for it, and I was like, I reacted and pointed to the TV, and Christy was like, "What?" And we were both like, "Yes." It looked so. We're gonna give it a shot.
Question.
Okay.
Where does Wanda rank now?
Oh.
Because she wasn't one of your favorite characters. Do you feel like you've gotten to know her a little more? Has Lizzie Olsen,
she's jumped up there. She's not my favorite. She's probably
definitely given her more backstory now.
Yeah, we understand who she is and where she came from. So that's she's up there.
Great.
I thought Elizabeth Olsen did really good too.
She was fantastic.
So yeah. I forgot what I was gonna say. I had this whole thing. It was funny, and then you started talking about other stuff. And
sorry, I do that a lot,
and I forgot. But yeah. So we'll start rambling on about some other TV show now, and
eventually,
maybe some
I
good
promise.
Movies.
Eventually, we will have other subjects, other topics to talk about.
Yeah.
All of you listeners that are happen to still be listening. I mean, right now in our heads, in our lives, Illinois basketball, WandVision, and for me, I guess movies right now is all we really have to talk about. But we will come up with some other topics eventually, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I've been thinking about stuff. I got some ideas. We'll get some guests on here at some point. We haven't decided on who or when yet, but we'll get some other voices on here so you guys don't have to hear us ramble on for 50 minutes to an hour. But we're approaching that now, so I appreciate everyone. We appreciate everyone listening. However you listen, don't forget to subscribe everywhere you get your podcasts, on YouTube as well. Follow us on Twitter. Oh, went the wrong way. There, and his is over there. Somewhere.
You don't know where we are.
And no one asked us pod as well. Thanks for listening, Logan. You got anything else?
I do not. Go Illini.
Go Illini. Big Ten tournament coming up this weekend. We'll have at least one game, hopefully 3 games there.
We'll have a Selection Sunday recap coming up too.
We will have a bracket. We will have a bracket to dissect. Maybe we spend the whole time on basketball next week because it's a big Sunday, big weekend for us. If you want NCAA square, hit me up on Twitter. I got a couple squares left as well. All right, Logan, we'll call this one quits. Thanks for listening to episode 3. We'll see you next week.
Bye.